Anybody opposed? All right. Would there be anybody that would be in favor? Yes, sir. If you can, just please, at the podium, state your name and what your position is, please. Okay.
It's been commercial ground for over 15 years. There's no interest in it, so we want to sell it as residential.
Okay.
We've had, my realtors had interest in it for residential, but none for commercial. And a realtor across the road on the project across the road, he had 15,000 votes and no calls on that 5 acres of commercial grounds. So there's no interest in it, and I'm tired of mowing it, and I'd like to get rid of it.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Mr. Kress.
Is there anybody else that wants to speak?
Yeah. If there's anybody else that would like to speak on the issue. All right. I will go ahead and declare this public meeting closed.
Public hearing.
Or public hearing closed. Thank you. And we'll move on to any motions for the discussion. Or, I'm sorry, discussion. Tripped up tonight.
You know, this plot of land's going to have traffic on 3 sides of it. You figure with Izzy's being on one side and then 571 on the other, and then the entrance to that plat on the other. I mean, that's 3 sides where there's going to be constant traffic, and it's not a very wide lot to begin with. So, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a great place for residential. I mean, I know that there doesn't seem to be any interest in residential or commercial, but still, as far as it goes for to put a house there for kids to run around in what little yard it had, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a great idea to build a house or to make that residential.
At a half acre, I'd say it's double the size of most lots in town, though. So I don't know that I'd call it that small. And if you did the entrance off of the Stone Meadows, I would say it'd be an above average home lot size for our town. I would have never thought of building a house on that one down in the corner here of, but you know, someone wanted to put a house there, and that's another taxpayer in our community, and it's a nice looking house.
The majority of people have traffic on one side, like you said, but you know, it may be a smaller lot, but you only got to worry about traffic in one place, except for if you're on a corner, I guess. Then you got 2, but with Izzy's behind.
I'd hope they build a privacy fence.
Yeah, well, they would need to, just for the light pollution alone with the constant, you know, it's going to look like 20th Century Fox, you know, opening with all the cars going by.
Matt, I have a question with that. In reference to the entrance to the house, it will have to be off of Stone Meadows. It couldn't be off of 571, correct?
During the hearing with the planning board, I told them that anytime a permit is issued or is requested, we review that permit. And in this particular case, just like the one that you were mentioning to the south side of town, we will dictate where that driveway needs to be. And yes, we would require it to enter and exit off of Stone Meadows, not off of 571.
And I'm just curious with Mr. Kress, is there interest in that lot? Do you have people that are in that half acre lot to build a home there?
There's no other lots, you know, at this time, that I know of.
In this particular instance, if this is rezoned and a house is going to be built there, again, the front yard would be considered Stone Meadows.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, you know, just like you said, some people want to build a place that you might not want to build, I don't know if I would particularly pick that, but
Sure.
Mr. Kress, I understand you're a businessman and you're trying to, trying to get rid of it, and so if I were in your position, I probably would ask for the same.
Oh, I would too.
Thanks.
Absolutely, no question about it.
And then the lots to the west of it, are those still business?
Those are currently still business, but the planning board is working with Mr. Kress and his engineering firm to design it as a cul-de-sac with 8 lots,
Okay.
but that's still pending.
Yeah.
You figure that though, that's a better idea. I mean, because then 571 traffic's really behind you. You wouldn't have to worry about all the traffic around you. So.
Well, and I'm kind of the same opinion as Sarah here that, maybe not where I would personally choose to build a house, but if somebody can, and more power to them. And like Dan said, it's another taxpayer here in the community, so.
Yeah, I wrestled with this for a long time because I thought, it's kind of up to the person who owns the property, kind of get that, to do that. But at the same time, I thought I also have a responsibility to, look into the future and what would be best for, the community as a whole. So, but I do completely understand with not wanting to mow it anymore and wanting to, to sell it. 100% agree with that. But yes. Thank you.
Any motions?
I'd like to make a motion to accept ordinance CM-19-26 as written.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Land,
Yes.
Cobb,
Yes.
Hertz,
No.
Fogel,
Yes.
Dorman,
Yes.
Grudich,
Yes.
and Mayor Miller.
Yes.
So, Mr. Kress, that means that it has been officially rezoned, so it is. So if you want to let your realtor know,
You don't need me no more?
that's all we need.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
It's sold.
Next item on the agenda is ordinance 19-27, and ordinance amending tap fees. Ms. Brush.
It's an ordinance amending section 52.142B, service connection fees and special line assessments of the West Milton Code of Ordinances. Whereas it has been several years since the tap fees to the water system have been updated, and whereas council has reviewed the current fee schedule and feels it is necessary to update these fees to be in line with other surrounding communities. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the Village of West Milton, Ohio as follows. Section 1, the language contained in the existing section 52.142B1 of the West Milton Code of Ordinances is hereby amended. Section 2, the council for the municipality of West Milton, Ohio hereby adopts the amended language, which reads as follows. 52.142B, permit fees. Now, in the ordinance itself, the old language is crossed out, the new language is in bold. I'm just going to read the ordinance as it would read with the new language.
Thank you.
Section 1, permit fees shall be applicable depending on the size of the service connection, plus the cost of the meter. 1A, schedule service connection. 3/4 inch or smaller is $2,000, 1 inch, $3,000, 1.5 inch, $5,000, 2 inch, $10,000, and 4 inch, $15,000. 1B, all meter installations in excess of a 4-inch connection shall be charged a connection fee at the rate of $2,000 for each additional inch meter installed. Installation fees for connections between listed sizes shall be prorated. 1C, all meter installations between the transmission line from the master meter to the water distribution plant shall be charged a connection fee of $3,000. Section 2, the above tap fees shall be due and payable by the applicant and collected by the municipality at the time the building or zoning permit is issued to the applicant. Should any person or firm request an increase in the size of his or her water service, he or she shall be subject to a water connection fee, which shall be the difference in the charges provided in Division B1A above for the meter of increased size and the size of the meter it replaces. Section 3, all funds collected under this section shall be deposited by the municipality in the Water Capital Improvement Fund. And then Section 3 of the ordinance, The penalty for a violation of Section 52.142B as amended shall remain as written in Section 52.999 of the West Milton Codified Ordinances. Section 4, this ordinance shall become effective from and after the earliest date permitted by law.
Thank you. Manager Klein.
What we tried to do in the whereas is spot on. I still can't find when the tap fees were originally created. So it was, I know it was done prior to 2010 or 2009. That's as far as back as I went. I figure if I went back 10 years and didn't find it, then it's been a while. And this is exactly in line with the city of Troy. Why did we pick the city of Troy? That's where we get our water from, is the city of Troy. So that's one thing. Number two, we do have some outstanding debt that is going to be needed to be repaid over the course of the next 30 years. And that is the 585 from the state of Ohio for the pump station. By doing the math for the new development will pay for that pump station just simply on the tap fees. So the pump station's for the development will be paying for those via the tap fees. It is like I said, in line with the city of Troy, bless you. And the only other thing, a couple things that are important, this has never been designated to go to the Water Capital Improvement Fund. It's always gone just into operations, which really your tap fees are not supposed to do that. Plus, our Water Capital Improvement Fund will be the source that will be paying back that debt. So it's very important that we have that specific language in here. And finally, you are curious as to, there is a section in here, the transmission line from the master meter to the distribution plant. There's about a half a dozen, maybe a little bit more, say a dozen homes between where the master meter is and from Troy to our plant. Typically, you never want to have that main line tapped. There's a pressure issue. You don't want to mess with that. So that's why we've added that $3,000, just because it's not something we really want to encourage. So why is that in there? Simply, that's why. And it is only a first reading. We'll have a second reading in January.
Thank you. Last one. CM-19-28. Ms. Brosh.
It's an ordinance amending Section 150.274 accessory buildings of the West Milton Code of Ordinances. Whereas it has been determined that Section 150.274 accessory buildings of the West Milton Code of Ordinances as it is currently written is insufficient and ambiguous. And whereas it is the desire of council to make this section more effective in order to accurately reflect the needs of the residents of West Milton. Therefore, council has decided to amend the language currently existing to permit a more clear and precise regulation regarding accessory buildings. Now therefore be it ordained by the council for the village of West Milton, Ohio as follows. Section 1, the language contained in the existing Section 150.274 of the West Milton Code of Ordinances is hereby amended. Section 2, the council for the municipality of West Milton, Ohio hereby adopts the amended language, which reads as follows. And again, I'll just read the new language. 150.274 accessory buildings. Accessory buildings in any residential zone shall be subject to the following regulations. A, where the accessory building is structurally attached to a main building, it shall be subject to and must conform to all regulations of this code applicable to main buildings. B, accessory buildings shall not be erected in any required yard except a rear yard. C, an accessory building shall not exceed the height of the main building, shall never exceed the square footage of the first floor living area of the main building as defined by the Miami County Auditor's Office, and shall occupy no more than 25% of the rear yard. D, no attached accessory building shall be located closer than 10 feet from the main building. A detached accessory building shall be located at least 5 feet from both the rear and side lot lines. In no instance shall any accessory building be located within a dedicated easement or right-of-way. Section 3, this ordinance shall become effective from and after the earliest date permitted by law.
Thank you. Manager Klein.
This has been an issue that we've discussed on and off over the course of 2019. I believe it could be argued that if 3 different people read our current accessory building ordinance, you might get 3 different opinions or 3 different answers, or 3 different interpretations. So what we've tried to do is take the language that we do have and simplify it. So there is no ambiguity. Is that fair to say?
Definitely.
I'll defer to other council members if they would like to talk about this, that it was really a joint written
Yes.
piece of legislation by council.
Yeah. I think that I feel like we did a pretty good job of kind of changing or making this language a little bit more clear so that there is no more question as to what the intention of the ordinance is. I know that we had quite a long discussion about this at our last workshop, and I think that this is kind of in line with other towns and cities locally. I think that we stole some of the language from some of the other towns. I think it was Inglewood or one of those that we copied off of. So, but I don't know if you guys have.
I just wanted to say one other thing. I know back in the June timeframe is when this was really brought forward, because there was a couple that lived in an area of town where there was a accessory building that was in question, and it went through the law director's interpretation and so forth. And we just said, as a council, when they asked us about this, that we would do our due diligence to relook at the ordinance as it was written to try to make things more clear. And this way, I think, by doing what we've done to revise this, that it does make it clear to when you read this, that I don't think there's any question with the interpretation, and it wouldn't have to go to a law director to interpret what's in the ordinance as it's written. So I just want to commend everybody for getting this done and taken care of, because we definitely upheld our word, what we said we were going to do, and looking to get this revised and cleaned up. So
Well stated. I like how it also, instead of having to argue about the square footage or size, it says the Miami County Auditor's Office, which holds the official. So that way there's no, well, my living room's bigger, or I did something different with my garage, so.
Right.
Unless it's reflected in the,
On
records.
On the auditor's records.
Yep.
Yeah. Very good.
Although this establishes the rule, exceptions to the rules can still be made through the Board of Adjustments.
Board of Adjustments, that's correct.
So if somebody has something outside the scope of this written would be, can be sought that way.
Correct. It would, through a public hearing.
So there's always a way forward if somebody has something slightly different than the expectation.
If someone has only 900 square feet of living space and they wanted a 1,000 square foot shed, then they can make application. There's a public hearing at a Board of Adjustments meeting. That's correct.
Thank you.
And this is only the first reading as well.
Yep. Thank you. Manager Klein?
Thank you, Mayor. Only a few items for this evening, and first, if it's okay, and I did not talk to her prior to the meeting.
I see my name there.
I didn't know, we have a parade and a tree lighting this Saturday.
Yes, so we're having a parade that starts at 5:30. If you are interested in being in the parade, you do not have an official sign up, but you meet up here at the city building, and we have a fleet from, let's see, Casey Outdoor Services. He's located here in West Milton, but he has all of his trucks. They're decorating them all, and he's gonna have all of them in the parade, and anyone else is welcome. If you have a cool car or something that you wanna put lights on, you're more than welcome to participate in the parade. And then we'll also have a fire truck carrying Santa Claus, correct? So that'll be in the parade, which is gonna head down 48. So meet here at 5 o'clock. head down 48, and then the tree lighting follows directly after. So we'll be ending around like the parking lot area. And Casey's Outdoor Services is providing hot chocolate and cookies for everybody. And Young Spirits will be doing caroling. So,
cool.
yeah, it should be a nice event. And then we'll do the tree lighting and hoping to also have pictures with Santa, which our Santa doesn't know this yet. So, anyways, trying to decide how we want to do that, but I think it would be nice to just offer free pictures. You can come up and take a picture with Santa on your own phone, and you don't have to pay $30. So,
That's on the cheap end.
yeah, that's on the cheap end. So if you have any questions, I don't know, you can contact the city and then you can contact me, but it should be pretty low key, but just a nice little event. And hopefully we can make it an annual thing, but, begin to incorporate, more and just make it better every year. So it was kind of a last minute decision, but I hope you all can join, so.
Cool, thank you.
Sounds great.
Ben and his men, Ben's going to be working with Harry, so the police and service will be blocking off both the north and southbound lanes for the parade. Our thinking right now is typically Santa comes in the fire truck, which is typically the last apparatus in the parade. We'll maintain blockage of the road, keep the fire truck right there by the tree. I'm assuming mayor, council, and Santa Claus will turn the tree on. Once the tree is turned on, then we'll probably open up the road, have the fire truck leave, and then you can do the pictures in a safer area and not right next to the road.
Sounds good.
It's our last meeting of 2019. We have 3 members that will unfortunately be leaving us at the end of this year. I just wanted to say thank you from the administration. Working with all 3 of you has been wonderful. It really has. This has always had a really good council. Ms. Grudich, thank you very much. I would like to talk to you afterwards because there's another board that I would like to see if you'd be interested in serving on. Mr. Dorman, you've always brought a jovial perspective, but also a perspective sometimes that we didn't always think about, and I really, truly appreciate that. And Mr. Fogel, it was 8 years ago this meeting when I was sworn in as the city manager, and that's when you started. So we've had an 8-year run together, and I have asked Scott if he would serve on our Board of Adjustments. We have an opening, so I'll be bringing his name forward at our January meeting. And thank you very much. It's been a pleasure working with you for all 8 years. So I wish you nothing but the best, all of you.
We will miss you guys.
Thanks.
It's been pleasurable.
I did speak of the January meeting because it's a new council. In our charter, there's a little bit of just a quirk in our charter. We always meet on the second Tuesday of the month, except on the January after a village election. We will be bringing on Mr. Tracy and Mr. Horn at our January 7th meeting. It's the first Tuesday of the month. So that's the quirk. So we will have a seating of the council on January 7th. And we will also have a regular meeting at that time. 2 pieces of legislation, I believe, is all we're really going to have. And then we'll have a small reception afterwards, welcoming our newest members to the council. So it's January 7th is our next meeting at 7:30. And I just want to take this opportunity again, Reverend Peters, it's always a pleasure having you on in December, and thank you very much for being here.
I look more like Santa Claus now.
But I wish everyone, all of our TV audience, everybody, the administration, on behalf of the administration, we would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a happy and safe New Year. We should take this opportunity to also say that we traditionally always cancel the workshop in December. It happens to be Christmas Eve. If you guys aren't doing anything Christmas Eve, we could have a meeting. But typically, we have always and will this year cancel the workshop for December, so we will see everyone on January 7th.
Do we motion?
We actually, I'm sorry, we actually have to have council make a motion in a second to cancel the workshop for December.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we cancel that last meeting.
On December 24th. I'll second that.
Oh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Me.
Humbug.
Grinch.
Thank you, Manager.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Any old business by council? Last chance to ask questions.
Nope, no old business.
Oh my.
Fine tooth comb Fogel has no questions.
Not right
Okay.
now, no.
I have one piece of new business, and it's not really business, but just something that I would kind of like to say. I was reflecting the other night about this year and everything that we've accomplished so far together, and it's not very often that we have a governing body like ours work so well together, and that was kind of striking to me. But it's not always as smooth as it appears to be here in the public view. We do put a lot of hard work and discussion into our workshops that you may not, you don't watch on TV, but there is definitely a lot of work behind the scenes that go on. It is without a doubt that good leadership is a great deal of the influence on the smooth working of this council. And I don't mean my own, but of those members that have come before us that have plotted a course for us to look towards. It is without them, we wouldn't really have a forward vision that we're looking at today. 8 years ago, Scott Fogel ran for village council to make a change. Over those years, he's helped shape our path, helped guide when we have questions, and of course asked many questions himself. Well, when I was first elected mayor, I was very apprehensive because I knew I had pretty big shoes to fill. Scott always seems to have the answers to all the hard questions when he's asked by somebody in the public, and he always seems to have the correct point of view towards problems, and of course, he always knows which questions to ask. But I'd be amiss if I was to simply point out the contributions of Mr. Fogel. There are two other members that have left their mark on this village as well. Don Dorman is always quick with a story relating to somebody's house here in town when he was a little guy, but he's also always on point with insightful points of view. And Karen is always the voice of experience and reason. She might be quiet, but she captivates everybody with her perspectives. So thank you guys very much for all the contributions that you guys have made. Without your guys' contributions, this council simply wouldn't be as effective as we are. 2019 saw many changes for the village of West Milton. And as we say goodbye to 3 valuable council members, we welcome new ones with fresh point of views. And I look forward to working with both of you in the following years. So,
Thank you.
yeah. So thank you guys. Yeah, anyways.
Thanks.
Well said.
Are there any comments by citizens tonight?
I have some new business.
Oh, well, let's
We
hear
missed
some
the new business. Can't
I'm
go
sorry.
on. So, it has been the talk of the town for the last 2.5 weeks since we finally broke ground across the river with the new development. So, Matt, any other nuggets, any other things that we can look at down the calendar? Because I figure at this point, since the ground has been cleared, which they did that in short order.
Yes.
Which was amazing, and it is so cool to come from Tip City and to drive there by the golf course, and you look and you see all of downtown, because there's no trees, there's nothing blocking it, you see it all lit up at night, and it's just refreshing. It's really neat. So I take it next will be the water and the sewer and the gas lines and all that type of stuff. And then the streets, can we tell the public what kind of is next in line and what's happening?
Well,
that type of thing?
Anything like this is always first weather driven. So everyone wants to know, what's the calendar look like? Well, every time you guys ask me what the calendar looked like, it just kept getting postponed and postponed and postponed. But I do know that the contract that he has with the contractor, he has to have buildable lots, meaning that a house can be built on or a commercial activity can be built on, by the 1st of September. So it's going to, that's hustling. Because you're bringing the water lines up, you're bringing the sewer lines up, bringing the gas lines up, you got to coordinate with, electric and everything else. First things first, they'll be putting in the retention basins. Start low, work your way up. So, and there's a lot of rock. And
That's what I was gonna
some
ask.
point it's hard, some point it's soft, but there's rock.
You got, when you go down 571, you have all that rock face there where everything else is all flat. So what's gonna happen? Are they gonna have to remove all that rock to flatten all that area out, or are they gonna build on the top of that area there?
They're going to be building on top of that area, but I don't know what that wall's going to look like yet. We had several discussions about that. I know that he's got a landscape architect now on his staff to decide how they're going to be doing that. You have to remember, why just take so long? It's just a $6 million project just on infrastructure alone, let alone how much private activity is going to be putting in. This was done through the Warren County Port Authority on a brand-new bond fund. They just created this bond fund. We are the first project in their bond fund for Warren County. So this is all brand new for everybody. But there's a lot of work, and I don't know exactly what it all going to look like, but I do know what's going in there. Randall residence, a medical facility, the quads, the condos that we were, Mr. Land and Mr. Fogel, we were able to see an example of what those quads are going to look like at the Randall residence in Centerville. So there's a lot of excitement, and there's a lot more. I know I've been on the phone with him, or he updates me almost every day as to potential commercial activities that will be going on. I know that I've been told there's a lot of social media chatter, a lot that are wrong or misleading statements. This is not going to bankrupt the city. I'm happy to say that the city got paid in full, done, period. Everything that we had expended 3 years ago has been paid back to us. So, we're not putting a dime into the project. So I've never gone bankrupt without having to spend money, so we're not spending money. So
Very good.
that's a misnomer. But there's still a lot of work to do. It's, again, weather driven, but you're right. The subcontractor that cleared the land did it very fast.
Yeah.
I will tell you that from a development standpoint, they've got huge smiles on their face because this is a really nice piece. You can't tell what kind of ground it was, with all those trees. Now that those trees are gone, it's a really nice piece of ground to develop.
Good.
So they're excited about that. Pleasantly surprised.
Great, thank you. And then I just have one other thing I'd just like to say, it's been an awesome 8-year run on Village Council. I was asked to run for Village Council in 2011 by Anthony's mom, So I came to council meetings just to kind of get familiar with it, toyed with it, pondered it, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I want to thank the public for really voting for me for 2 terms. I took it serious. I mean, I did a lot of studying, a lot of research. I learned a lot over the 8 years of what all goes on with city government, with the budget. I can say with the budget, when we started, I think 8 years ago, we had $3.5 million that's kind of in the bank, that's there in the black, that we've always had, and I think we have more than that now, which is a testament to what people on council have done in that 8 years. One of the things I wanted to get done was the water situation and become a permanent water customer with Troy. Didn't quite happen yet, but I know you're still working it, so I'm really thinking that that's going to transpire down the road. But one other thing, my dad said it. He said, "One day I know you're going to be the mayor of West Milton." I said, "No way, I'm just going to be a council member. No way I'm ever going to be the mayor." Well, then I was the vice mayor, and I was appointed by the vice mayor at the beginning of the year. And then it just so happened that I became the mayor. I was nervous. It was one of the most nervous times ever in my life, but I will tell you, I tremendously enjoyed it. I really took it serious when I was in that seat. Very funny story. I kept it low key, and usually with Fogel, it's telefogle. It's like a telephone. I want everybody to know, or I tell everything. So I didn't tell anybody. I went into work the next day. Didn't know it was on the 11 o'clock news that the previous mayor had resigned, and that my picture was on the 11 o'clock news, and I was the new mayor of West Milton. So I go into work, and everybody's like, "Oh, Your Honor, how can we help? Can we get you some coffee? Can we do this?" And I didn't want to let anybody know. I tried to keep it quiet, but it was a proud moment, and I enjoyed that 16 months. But I am tremendously going to miss this. I'm glad I get to still be on the Board of Adjustments, because I think we're doing great things here in West Milton. We're going to do even greater things. We've got 2 great guys coming on board with Greg Tracy and Pastor Horn. So I know you guys are going to do great things. And Dayon, Karen, great job. And thanks again to the public, because I wouldn't be sitting here if you didn't elect me. So you trusted me to work on behalf of you with the village, and Matt and Ben. I mean, you guys are just tremendous people to work with, so keep it up, and that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm just going to say a few words to echo that. Just a town as small as ours, how intertwined we are. Just through one way or another, have a relationship with everyone up here, and just over the years on council, I've grown to just admire our city manager and all our employees here in the city. Just an outstanding job they do. We know that from the outside looking in as citizens, but you get on the inside and you really see it. You really see how hard they work and what good stewards they are of our community resources. And echo what Scott said. It's been a pleasure.
All right, I have to say something. I really enjoyed being here on council. I've been on it for 5 years. I can't believe it kind of went like that, but it's been great working with all you guys, and keep up the good work. I know a lot of things, positive things will happen with you guys being on. So I really appreciate the people who voted for me also, so thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
We're going to try very hard, Dayon, that when he gets on Board of Adjustments, to make an accessory building public hearing.
I will attend that.
Any comments by citizens this evening? Good? All right. Any motions?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Merry Christmas and God bless you guys.
Thank you.